Let me explain. RBI became known as a primary investor in military technology firms, specifically in aerospace and aviation. RBI's initial partners in 1946 unsurprisingly included the 5 Rockefeller brothers and their sister Abigail. However, RBI also included 2 additional silent partners that would remain close associates to Lawrence throughout his early career. The first was a man named Harper Woodward, who had worked in military procurement at the Pentagon during the war. Harper Woodward, as it turned out, and get ready for this, was actually an early director of Civil Air Transport, the CIA-owned airline in the Far East, linking the China lobby to Rockefeller interests, but also placing a CIA employee into the Rockefeller financial web. The other silent partner was one Thaddeus Walkowitz, an MIT aerospace engineer who had spent 11 years at the Air Force. These military-industrial complex figures, mainly Woodward and Walkowitz, would go on to found the intelligence technology firm known as iTech, with RBI funding. According to Peter Dale Scott, iTech would develop various technologies for the CIA, including spy satellite components and cameras for the U-2 spy plane, representing a key piece of the electronic intelligence boom. This may be a good time for a quick aside, just to mention that Lawrence Rockefeller would go on to fund several UFO enthusiast conferences and panels in the 1980s and 90s, working essentially to divert the UFO community's attention away from experimental military tech, by the way, a field that he was very invested in, and towards unproven alien tech. Given Lawrence's closeness to intelligence and the defense industry, I would speculate that his funding of UFO groups was working within the confines of a pre-existing psychological operation to divert attention away from encounters of experimental military tech. Anyways, returning to the 1950s, interestingly, the CIA spy plane program and the spy satellite programs, which incidentally were the main procurers of iTech hardware in the early days, were directed by one Richard Bissell. You'll remember him as the man who organized Operation PB Success in Guatemala in service of Rockefeller interests, and he would later organize the Bay of Pigs invasion of Cuba. We see here that Lawrence Rockefeller's RBI served as essentially an intelligence front to help fund and profit off of the intelligence complex that was being deployed in the escalating Cold War.